So today we'll be taking a look at the Rebel Soldier Echo Base Battle Gear from the Vintage Collection. And if you've been following the Vintage Collection since the beginning, you would know up until its re-release recently that it was one of the rarest action figures you can get in the Vintage Collection for some reason. I think it just wasn't packed many per case, and it just didn't get many releases and whatnot, and high demand, so it became one of the rarest action figures. And up until its re-release, I would see on eBay prices going for $100 even just for this action figure. But thankfully we have a re-release now, and it's a very good one at that. I like it all around, and the face printing turned out very nicely on it for the most part. We'll get into that in a second. And technically this does complete a original 92 group. This is based off of what the original Hoth Rebel Soldier looked like at the time. Some would argue that, some would say this is technically not accurate to that. I think it's close enough for the most part, and it's probably as close as we're ever going to get with Hasbro. So let's take a look at this package. Very nice artwork there. So originally it was a VC68, and at this point I have every single one of these except for the Cully from The Mandalorian, which I don't really plan on getting. But yeah, very simple packaging. So like I said, this is the re-release. I don't have the original. For the most part, from my understanding, it's other than the face printing tech, the only main differences between the original and this one is I think some of the joints were not colored the same as the pants, for instance. And I believe the ankle joints were also a different color from the boots, if I recall correctly. But for the most part, it's a simple action figure. It's not one that's probably going to be for everyone, and it's not the most exciting action figure in the world, but definitely if you're a fan of the original trilogy, this is a big deal for you. For me, I like it as is. Like I said, the photoreal for the most part turned out very nicely on my sample. I will say keep an eye out for some bad samples. I'll even put a picture right here to show you. As you can see, there can be some very bad samples out there with the face printing tech. This one's been at my local Walmart for months now, and no telling when that someone's going to buy that, if ever. So that's one thing about the re-releases from the Vintage Collection is sometimes the face printing doesn't turn out very well. It's usually easier when they do an entirely new face sculpt, and it looks a lot better when they do that, minus versus if they just take a original head from years before that was painted and then did the face printing on it. So for articulation, it's exactly what you would expect from the Vintage Collection. It's very good range in his neck there. And he also has a hinge at the shoulder. Gets a pretty good range out of it. Hinge at the elbow there. Goes just a little past 90 degrees, which is nice. Has a swivel wrist, swivel waist, swivel hips, and then hinge knees and ankles as well. It's good detailing on his cold weather gear there. His pouches. Unfortunately, mine, I'm sure that's the case for most of them. As you can see, I think I tried putting a stand on him, but it must have broken off. Unfortunately, the hole is not very big to fit his stand on, so I'll have to do without. You could potentially drill a hole there, but I never like to do that. I'm always afraid I'll end up going through his foot or something like that. I'm sure most samples are like that, where it's just not a very good hole for a peg there. For accessories, all he came with was just the traditional Hoth Rebel blaster that we've seen many times before. It does fit very nicely in his holster there. And technically the goggles here are an accessory. Don't think you can really put it on him. Of course, his scarf here is kind of hindering that, but in theory, I suppose you could pop his head off and then try and put the goggles on that way. But I like how it is just like that. Of course, I believe that's his rank badge there. But yeah, I mean, there's really not a whole lot else to say about this. It's an action figure that is what it is. It's very nice to have in your collection. It's very simple, very good articulation. It looks nice. The joints are all fluid. Nothing feels like it's going to break on you. Yeah, I think that's really all there is to say. I definitely would highly recommend this action figure for you, especially if you've been hunting him for many years now, like I have. So it's nice to finally have it in our collections for retail price, basically. The original, I think, went for $8.99 or $9.99, and of course this one's like $13 or $14 now. So definitely as good of a price as you're gonna get. But yeah, like I said, I would recommend it for just about anyone's collections, especially if you're interested in the original trilogy and you have a Hoth battle set going on, or a diorama of any sorts, or you just like collecting Rebel soldiers in general. And as I said, it does technically complete a original 92. So yeah, that's all I really have to say about it. Again, thank you all for watching, and if you've been following this channel for some time now, again, thanks for your continued support. If you have not already, please subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments of this action figure. And thanks for watching.